Hey everyone, it's John again. Happy Sunday. I'm here to play Immaculate Grid number 280. I'll do the timed round, then I'll do the rarity round. Hopefully this time when I do the rarity round, I take my time a little bit since there's no clock pressure and I don't fuse together people like Cliff Lloyd and Carl Everett, who are distinct human beings who didn't, I think, play on any of the same teams and yeah, are not people I should have confused. But I did yesterday. So let's go ahead and hit share. Let's get into it. Um, so I'm just going to, this was grid number 29, which looks like I did okay on. And I'm gonna hit go and play. There we go. All teams. That's what I like to see. Eddie Murray played for both these teams. Let's see. This will be Steve Finley works. And then down here, how about Mark Teixeira? Wrote about him, this trade a little bit. Yep, that'll work. Over here, what do we think about Jose Offerman hitting both teams? And Adrian Beltre. All right, Randy Johnson seems like it'll be a top getter here. Greinke seems like he'll get a lot of points here. How about Ray Sanchez? And then over here, Ken Griffey Sr. will work. Takes 9%, 55 seconds. I think I have done that one before. I knew it was going to be higher than you would think. But of course, Ken Griffey Sr. playing for the Mariners was a memorable thing. Him playing for the Braves, I don't think was especially memorable. He is featured with the Braves, and one of my favorite for sentimental reasons, the 1988 Tops collection, for which there's a whole podcast. Fun fact, there's a whole podcast called 1988 Tops, and they play Immaculate Grid and post their scores on X every day. So anyway, that card brand is near and dear to my heart, and Ken Griffey Sr. is portrayed with the Braves. And a couple years later, he played with his son on the Mariners. So that takes 9%. Griffey is 50% of the Seattle Houston crowd. I think Greinke's probably the highest. I guess Beltran is higher than Greinke. Okay, that's right. Greinke also works for this one, so maybe if I'd thought of that, I could have saved, a Jose Offerman pick. But I mean, Jose Offerman's 2%. I might be able to beat that. We'll see. Um, yeah, let's get into the rarity round. I'm already starting to think about it, so I'm gonna stop share and reshare, and I have to do the fun thing where I look for my incognito mode grid. There it is. This would have been the timed round for grid number 29 yesterday. And away we go, but without time pressure. So I know Terry Forster will hit both these teams. So Secret's still safe there. Remember, Forster hit 397 for his career, and he works for a few teams. He actually does hit Atlanta, so I could have used him there. And he also hit Chicago, Pittsburgh. That might be it. And then those two teams. Down here, I'm going to go with the 1957 Milwaukee Braves World Series MVP, not Warren Spahn, but Lou Burdett, who won uh, three games in that series, I believe, and then went to the Angels later on. He also works for the Cubs, so it's a little bit higher than I would have expected at point 0.4. Still pretty good though. Burdett, fun fact, was the winning pitcher of Harvey Haddox's perfect game that wasn't, where he went 12 perfect innings and lost the game in the 13th inning. Lou Burdett gave up like 12 hits, but it was the 1950s or 60s, and I forget when exactly it was, but he was still with the Milwaukee Braves and he gave like 12 hits. This was at County Stadium. Haddix was with the Pirates. But he gets the W because weren't really relief pitchers used very often then. Let's see. So I used Ray Sanchez. I'm sure that was a pretty low one actually. I'm gonna go with Tony Graffinino here. I know he hits both teams. Also goes sub 1%. Apparently works for the White Sox. I didn't actually have that near the top of my memory bank. Still trying to think of a good one over here. Um, let's see. I'm trying to remember. Does Arthur Rhodes hit the Braves? Casey Kochman, did he hit the Mariners? I'm thinking he hit the Mariners. He also would have worked down here. He was on the other side of the Teixeira trade of Braves to Angels. So the Braves, if you're keeping score on that one, the Braves traded the core of the back-to-back pennant-winning Rangers team to include let's see, it was um who all was in that? Andrews, um, and then Neftali Feliz. I want to say one of the other maybe Matt Harrison, one of their like 3-4 star trades them in exchange for Mark Teixeira. Mark Teixeira plays basically a full season between trade deadlines, 158 games if memory serves me correctly, because I wrote about it in my book. And then they flip him for Casey Kochman, who I'm not even going to use in this grid, so maybe I shouldn't even be talking about him. But how about up here? What if we would go with Mark Grozolonic? Ooh, that's a little high. That's 4%. Secret's out with him. I gotta stop using him. I don't know if the secret was ever particularly clean there either. All right. Over here. Ooh, over here, I'm gonna go with, I believe it's John Halama was in that Houston to Seattle trade, along with Carlos Guillen and Freddie Garcia. So big haul for the Mariners. I mean, that was a great trade for them, even though they had to give away the big unit. But what they got, the other two players aren't going to work here because they never actually played for the Astros at the big league level, but Halama did. Okay, secret's out on that one too. And I gotta start finding some better people. I've gotten to the point where I don't like seeing people above 1%, although I constantly am getting them. So it's not like I've gotten that great. It's just I wanna be better. All right. Now we're looking at Angels and Astros. Don Sutton will work. I don't know how sneaky that is. Sutton went basically Astros traded the Brewers at the end of the 82 season, like at the waiver deadline. Pitches September in the World Series, a couple more years with the Brewers. I believe then to the A's and then the Angels, and then one last year with the Dodgers. That's his career. So he'll work. We did Finley. Um, who else? Who else? And over here, I know Jose Lima works. I'm trying to remember, does Ron Vallone hit any of these teams? I don't recall if he does. I want to say Pat Borders might work for this. Pat Borders weirdly hits like the whole AL Central. I want to say -1 team, but I don't remember which team that was. And I believe he briefly played for Houston. In fact, why not? All right, so point two on that one. And then I went with Beltray here, which was a pretty high pick. You're just kind of dancing around those Mariners. A fair number of people who kind of stuck with the Mariners. I mean, Jay Buhner, Edgar Martinez aren't going to work. I don't think Joey Cora was ever a Dodger. Russ Davis, Paul Sorrento, David Ski. Don't think any of them are going to work. But I've got to have someone who's not super obvious. And then down here, who would I go with for Seattle and Atlanta? Opposite coasts. That's kind of a weird one where I don't know if they share a lot. I want to say Arthur Rhodes might work. He definitely played for the Mariners, played a lot for Baltimore. How much confidence do I have in Arthur Rhodes working? Enough to try him. Nah, he didn't work. All right. I got lucky with borders. All right. For whatever reason, I was thinking Arthur Rhodes, but I need to refresh on him, I guess. All right. Let's see here. I'm just gonna throw Sutton on there. Takes 3%. This has been a poor grid. Um, all things told. I think that was a risk I probably should not. Oh, you know who now I was thinking of Arthur Rhodes because I was also thinking Orioles in there too, because that's who he played. The bulk of his career was between the Mariners. So I didn't fuse anyone. But I know Rafael Soriano hits both teams. So maybe we go with that reliever instead. In this case, yeah. Soriano. This was pre-raise, I think. Takes 2%. So even that's pretty high. Um, so I forgot Cano snuck into Atlanta for a little bit. Huh. All right. Well, Arthur Rhodes not working is I gotta just where does I don't need to look at Robinson Cano's career. 2639. That's the number of hits he'll retire with. Unless you count the that new league that he's playing in. All right. Plays with Florida and Philadelphia. So there's a little bit of NL East action there. Maybe I'll try to remember. I remember him with the Reds, Mariners, and Orioles. Everything else didn't really remember. I think I actually did remember the Rangers because he works a lot better than Josh Hamilton. All right. Well, normally if I mess it up and it's something like, you know, uh first round draft pick for the Orioles or something like that. I mean, I can, you can get that, but normally when I mess up and it's kind of an obscure-ish category and I'm throwing a guess out there, but I should be able to get teams, but that's all right. It was still fun. Still had a successful round in the timed version. I got under a minute, which I've not been getting lately. So that was cool. In any event, I get to watch the Packers later. So shoot, going for a playoff spot. So anyway, thanks a lot for playing, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace.